Hi guys, the movie you're about to watch talks about one of the themes of geography called region. Region and place can be pretty confusing, but just remember, a region is an area that is defined by certain similar characteristics. There are actually 3 different types of regions. There's a formal region, functional region, and vernacular or perceptual region. From this point on, I'm going to refer to it as perceptual region. A formal region is an area where these similar characteristics, they're found throughout the entire area. So a country is a region, a state is a region, a city is a region. They're all formal regions because each of those things shares laws and government amongst themselves, among other things too. A functional region is a central place and the surrounding places affected by it. A really great example of a functional region is the DC metro area. While we know Washington, D.C. has its own borders, the Washington, D.C. metro does affect areas outside of Washington, D.C. The last region, and this is the one we're probably most familiar with, is a perceptual region. It's an area that is defined by people's feelings and attitudes. So when we say the South, we think of certain states in the United States. But depending on who you ask, you could say, is Texas in the South or is it in the Southwest? It depends on the attitude of that person. There are also many different types of characteristics that make up a region. We're going to talk about 2. The first is a physical characteristic, and these are found in nature. They're not made by man, and they're usually landforms or bodies of water. Rivers and mountains are 2 examples of physical characteristics. Another physical characteristic is climate. Cultural characteristics are different. A cultural characteristic could be something like language or religion, political attitudes and viewpoints, and these characteristics are unique to a particular region. The types of industry in the area may impact the culture of a region, and also the attitudes and viewpoints of the people who live there would affect the culture of the region. Because there are 3 different types of regions and many different types of characteristics one could use to categorize these regions, there are actually many different regions within the United States. However, we are going to focus on the 6 perceptual regions in the United States. The first perceptual region is called the Northeast. Some people actually break the Northeast into 2 different regions, one region called New England and the other called the Mid-Atlantic. The states that make up New England are Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. And the states that make up the Mid-Atlantic are New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware. However, when you combine all of these states together, they make up the perceptual region of the Northeast. The South is also a perceptual region that some people have disagreements about. For our class, we're going to say that the South is made up of Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Some people also call this region the Southeast because it is in the south, but it's also on the eastern side of the United States. The Southwest is only made up of 4 states, and those states are Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas. However, depending on who you ask, Oklahoma and Texas are sometimes considered part of the South, while Arizona and New Mexico are sometimes considered part of the West. The Midwest is made up of Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas. The West includes Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and California. Now remember, some people also consider Arizona and New Mexico to be part of the West. In fact, some people consider Washington and Oregon to not be part of the West, but to be called part of a region called the Pacific Northwest. Finally, we have Alaska and Hawaii. We know they're formal regions because they're U.S. states. But are they part of a perceptual region? Are they part of the Northeast or the West or the South or the Midwest? Not really. So that's why I might say Alaska and Hawaii are not in one of the 6 perceptual regions we just learned about.